And that is, what happens when, not if, but when, Republicans simply refuse to certify a Democratic victory? This is the essence. It's not much discussed, which I find mind-boggling. But this is the essence of the Georgia voter suppression law and the one that the Republicans in Texas are trying to pass. And it's contained in laws that are in over a dozen states, have already been passed in over a dozen Republican states. Now, most of those Republican states are not going to go for, let's say, in 2024, let's just imagine, for example, that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris run for a second term. And Joe Biden is still going strong, and he's running for re-election. Which is everything that he's saying he's going to do right now. So most of those states, it's not going to be an issue because, you know, they're going to go for whoever the Republican is. But the so-called swing states, the states that could go either way, you know, Texas, Arizona, Pennsylvania, they have a Democratic governor who's blocking this, but certainly their legislature is trying this. Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, again, Democratic governors who are blocking it, but the state legislatures are entirely controlled by Republicans because of gerrymandering, even though a majority of people in Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, all voted for Democrats statewide and voted, you know, the majority of people voted for Democrats to control their House and Senate. Nonetheless, their House and Senate, their state houses and Senates or assemblies are entirely controlled by Republicans because of gerrymandering. And they now have the legal ability, it hasn't been tested in the courts, of course, to simply say, you know, it looks like Joe Biden won the election here in you know, fill in the blanks, in Georgia. It looks like Joe Biden won the election in Georgia, but we're not going to certify that. We're just not going to do it. We're going to send a slate of electors on behalf of Donald Trump or, you know, Rick Scott or whoever the nominee happens to be, Ron DeSantis. What do we do? I put this out as a serious question to you. I've been struggling with this for a couple of weeks now, wondering what, because, you know, this is on the horizon now. It's like, you know, in warfare, when a new weapon is developed, it is 100% certainty that within the next generation that weapon will be used. And this is true for everything from the bow and arrow to the crossbow to the nuclear bomb. When new weapons are developed, they get used. Well, similarly, when new laws are passed that allow politicians to hold on to power that they legitimately no longer have, they will get used. So what do we do? Obviously, the first resort would be to go to the courts and say, wait a minute, this isn't right, it's unconstitutional. But, I mean, look at the makeup of the court right now, the Supreme Court, which is where it would end up. The Supreme Court already awarded the 2000 election to a Republican in violation of the 10th Amendment to the Constitution. The state Supreme Court of Florida had ordered a statewide recount, which we now know would have given the election to Al Gore, now that all the ballots were recounted by the New York Times and the Washington Post. It took a year, but they did it. An audit, if you will. But the Supreme Court intervened and stopped that recount, thus guaranteeing George W. Bush would become president. So the Supreme Court has already thrown one election to the GOP, which brought us the Iraq War and the Afghanistan War. Why wouldn't they do it another time? So, you know, short of getting out there on the streets, I don't know what to do. I mean, obviously the courts, you know, passed the For the People Act, which puts, you know, which standardizes statewide, you know, standardizes federal elections and also it eliminates the power of states to do much of this, but it's not even completely bulletproof. We need legislation.